some readers of the Tide have expressed an interest in a map, and I do like fantasy maps, and did work on some for the putting the Tide together. So first of all, let's have a look at some of the maps that have inspired me in the past. This is Fighting Fantasies Out of the Pit, which probably shows my age, and I really remember the maps in these books. I think the books were written individually and then gradually woven together, but there might be some ideas in here in terms of approaching the style for my own map. Another favourite of mine, Casket of Souls again. This is Iain McCaig's beautiful watercolour illustration from back in what must be the 80s, 1988. But I remember there's a map in here somewhere, at least I think there is. Absolutely stunning work by Iain. I remember trying to replicate some of this, and watercolour is really hard. Sure there's a map in here somewhere. There we go. Some nice dragon illustrations brought into the map as well, as it looks like Iain's watercolour. This is an absolutely classic map. As Olaus Magnus's marine map. Maybe pronouncing that wrongly. Tell me how to spell it correctly, to pronounce it correctly in the captions. So this map is really well known for its monsters and sea creatures, which I think would be a brilliant addition to a map for the Tide, given the monsters that are in the Tide. The other great thing about Out of the Pit was it was a bestiary of creatures from the Fighting Fantasy books. Love Iain McCaig's painting there. Sure that's been flipped. And again, with the creatures of the Tide, I'd love to do a bestiary one day. But to start with, perhaps we'll include some of the creatures in the illustrations around the map. So I plan to commission someone to do a map, because I don't know anything about making maps. And then I remember that I'm supposed to be an artist, and maybe I should have a go at making a map. So in this book, I've got some of my early scribbles, but I'm wondering whether I can do a pen and ink watercolour map of the final version. So in these various versions, you've got the Great Mar, which is the body of water, the Great Lake around which everything happens, or most things happen in the book. A slightly different version. I decided to put together 4 A3 pieces of Arches watercolour paper to create one great big A1 map, so working fairly large, and it's multiple pieces, much like the Olaus Magnus map is actually made of multiple pieces, which will also make it easier for me for printing and scanning and reproducing. So we're all set up, and next time I will start the drawing process, so join me for that. Thanks.